Hey, I'm Porter. I'm back in town. Hey, my name is Porter. Everybody, I'm not dead. I'm Porter.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie to rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, and this is the podcast for you, I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week, we take a look back in time, decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you like to sell the movies we have covered, will cover, or want to choose one for yourself, please visit chatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. Thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all the information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, and our YouTube channel where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are we reviewing today?
Gene, tonight I'm very excited. A couple weeks ago, we talked about one of our prolific commissioners and longtime supporters, Jeremiah W., that he had commissioned a batch of films. And I just want to let people know, this man has supported us for years, and I'm just going to go through some of the commissions he's done. He did The Long Kiss Goodnight. He did our recent Con Air. He's doing tonight's film. Then coming up next year, he's got a string of films. Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, The Running Man, Star Trek: First Contact, The Matrix Reloaded. The man's got good taste. He's a great supporter. So when he wrote in and said, please, can you review for me the 1999 American noir action thriller, Payback, we were all on board.
Jeremiah, first of all, I want to thank you for giving us your entire federal tax refund for 2023, and keep those hits coming. Jeremiah wrote in and said, hey, Shat crew, I'm commissioning an all-time Mel Gibson favorite, 1999's Payback, specifically not the director's cut. I am distinguishing because the score took a significant turn for the worse in the director's cut, and it's something that I distinctly remember made the movie feel cool. This movie kicks ass, like a whole lot of ass. Something about revenge plots just really works for me, and this is one of the best revenge stories I've seen. I remember watching this at 10 years old and realizing Lucy Liu was terrifying and hot at the same time. Also, side note, I've got a new theory. If Chris Christopherson plays a secondary role in a movie, it's going to be good. See Blade. Looking forward to the review, Jeremiah. Well, Jeremiah, Big D put in the extra work on this episode, seeing both versions. I only saw the theatrical cut. So hopefully we cover all the bases in this review.
Yeah, that was not intentional. You usually scold me for watching anything that's not the legitimate version. So when I saw that it was on Amazon Prime Video, I'm like, this has got to be the version that Gene is going to watch. I generally do not read notes before. I do not read the commissioner's email because I want to be have a clear mind. I sat down and started reading the buckets, and I'm like, what the? I thought you were punking me, like testing me, like Roger, to see if I had watched the movie. There's explosions, there's kidnappings. I'm like, I didn't see any of that.
I don't get on your case for watching the director's cut. I get on your case when you watch the 3 documentaries that come along with the movie.
But I gladly went back, and I'm going to have to differ with Jeremiah. I like the director's cut. I think we have some mixed feelings on the film itself, but I'm glad going back now, and I watched both because there's some stark differences that I'm excited to share with you.
I just imagine the director's cut had the saxophone from Lethal Weapon, and that's the only difference.
No sexy sax.
Payback is a 1999 neo-noir action thriller written and directed by Brian Helgeland in his directorial debut, starring Mel Gibson. The film is based on the novel The Hunter by Donald E. Westlake, which had earlier been adapted into the 1967 film Point Blank. During post-production, Helgeland was removed by Gibson and the producers, who rewrote and reshot substantial portions of the film, including a different third act and a new villain played by Chris Christopherson. This version of the film was released by Paramount Pictures on February 5th, 1999, and received mixed reviews from critics. In 2006, Helgeland issued a director's cut entitled Payback Straight Up that differs substantially from the version released by the studio. This new version received a more positive reception and is generally considered superior to the theatrical cut. So, Big D, we always ask what your memories are of the movie we're covering. Tonight, it's Payback. We'll start with you.
I was excited to go back just for Mel Gibson. We did Tequila Sunrise, we've done Braveheart, we've done some of his films, but you forget, in the late 80s and 90s, he was a movie-making machine. It seemed like there was a new Mel Gibson movie like every 6 months. And you do remember the big roles. You remember the Max in Mad Max, the Riggs, the William Wallace. You remember even, let's say, Tom Mullins in Ransom. But there was a string of films in there where he played a generic bad guy, or he was like a retired cop, or he was some whack job who had some conspiracy theory. But he was always a tough guy. He was always involved in a heist, a cover-up, some investigation. There was usually romance involved. And they all blended into one. But when Jeremiah came back with this commission, I was excited to go back to look at Mel Gibson, because after the 2006, the incident he had with the police and getting arrested, the fall from grace, he disappeared from the Hollywood landscape for a while. It was good to go back with fresh eyes and look at Mel and his body of work at this time, because it's something that made the 80s and 90s.
Jeremiah, I was really excited to do this review because there are two things in life I'd never done before last week: Payback and cocaine. And once when I asked what doing cocaine was like, one of my friends in Chicago said, it's like being Mel Gibson in Payback. And because I didn't want to be tempted to do cocaine, and this movie looked pretty badass, I never watched the movie. Now, I'm happy to say I have seen Payback. I still have no desire to try nose candy. So mission accomplished.
No, I think you need to try cocaine in order to give it a true comparison. This is not at all what cocaine is like. He's not manic. He's not crazy. That's more like Jason Statham in that like Jolt movie where he's got to keep his heart rate up to stay alive. This isn't that bad.
Yeah, but he's got that supreme confidence. He's got that big dick energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Yeah. That's all going to work out. I'm just going to go collect the money. I don't need a plan.
Yes, that could be dangerous for you. There'd be lots of monitors being thrown and whiteboards being smashed. Yeah, you'd be a new guy in the office, Gene. Don't do it.
Let's hit the trailer.
I have Mr. Carter on the line.
Put him through.
I have a problem. There's a man in my office with a gun who says that he's going to kill me if we don't pay him back $130,000 that one of our lieutenants stole from him.
It's 70. Look.
How much is this guy Carter worth to you?
What do you mean?
My money, yes or no?
No.
Not many men know what their life's worth. I do. 70 grand. That's what they took from me. Oh! That's what I was gonna get back. They weren't wearing their seatbelts.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Porter.
He said his name was Porter.
Porter? Porter?
Yeah, real Cro-Magnon looking. You're not gonna kill me, are you?
Well, what's his first name? I don't know. You.
No, don't. Allow me.
You look pretty good for a dead guy.
You were the only good thing in my life that hadn't been taken from me. I couldn't stay away.
You are one hell of a mosquito.
To get rid of you, I'll swat you with 130 grand.
It's not 100.
Hey!
Perfect.
Yes, it's all right. He's just killing my alligator bags and shooting holes in my suit. Man, that's just mean. That's mean, man.
Where have you been?
Evening up the odds a little.
Hubba, 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 hubba.
Get ready.
Everything working out?
Oh, yeah.
To root for the bad guy.
You are crazy. That's why I love you. You just signed your own death warrant for $130,000. What is it? The principal or something?
Stop it, I'm getting misty. And tell him it's 70, will you?
Mel Gibson.
What do you mean it's only 70? It's only 70,000? Hell, my suits are worth more than that.
Payback.
Careful, boy, he might bite you back.
Porter, a career thief and former U.S. Marine, is shot and betrayed for $70,000. After months of recuperating, he plans his revenge and uses a series of petty thefts and short cons to acquire cash, a new suit, and a revolver. He and his partner in crime, Val Resnick, had stolen $130,000 from a local Chinese triad, but Val told Porter's wife, Lynn, that Porter was having an affair with Rosie, a sex worker Porter used to protect. Lynn shot Porter, leaving him for dead as Val took the cash to pay off a debt to the Outfit, a powerful organized crime syndicate. So this revenge tale begins when Porter is double-crossed by his wife and left for dead in a garage. Normally, when we see left for dead, somebody's like in a bag in a swamp somewhere, or we get like RoboCop where all their limbs are blown off and they flatline. Porter doesn't really seem all that dead. Like, he's shot twice through the back, but when they leave, he's still moving. Like, he's breathing. He's conscious and kind of struggling. And Val and Lynn are like, oh, I guess it's good enough. They don't put another one in his brain pan or anything. They're out of there. And even days after that, months after that, they haven't checked the newspaper for like an obituary. They're not listening to police scanner or doing anything to validate that this guy is dead. Big D, if I put 2 rounds in a dude and a month later I didn't get news of his body being discovered, I'd be pretty worried that he's coming after me.
Dude, and this is Porter.
Yeah.
This isn't putting like 2 bullets in a normal dude. You know who Porter is. You know what he's been like. I guarantee you Porter as a teenager was this badass. You don't leave him alone, but nobody in this film gives a fuck, Gene. And I'm not going to, as we go through the film, point out the differences, because I know that would drive you nuts, that would drive Jeremiah nuts, because this is a review of the theatrical version. At the end, I'll tell you what the differences are, so I'm just going to stick with the theatrical. But in both, nobody gives a fuck. Porter does not care. A plan? No, Porter doesn't. He has nothing to lose. It's that cocaine, big dick energy. And I understand he's a tough guy, right? He's a badass. He doesn't care. He can take a bullet. He doesn't give a shit. But why make your job harder? Why walk around town? Hey, I'm Porter. I'm back in town. Hey, my name is Porter. Everybody, I'm not dead. I'm Porter. Why? You're making your life hard.
I was thinking about that. And my initial thought was, what an idiot. And then I thought, okay, hold on. And I'm not trying to like wave my bank account around here, right? But like, if my life depended on $70,000 and I knew Porter was after me, I'd just give him the money. Maybe he's just trying to make it easy on Val and say, hey, dude, just, I'm back. Just drop the money somewhere. Let me know where it is. And we let bygones be bygones.
No, I think that's just the point. It's the point of the $70,000. It's not about the money. It's not even about the wife betraying him. That's money he's owed. He's going to get it. He's single-minded and whatever. You respect him. That's how he's going to be. But watching now, in 2024, an older, slower, grayer, grizzled Mel Gibson of 99, you have to appreciate what a badass this dude is. We've debated recently, I think it was like Joe Pesci, how he's always like the crazy guy in all the gangster films and he's hitting people and people are afraid of him. Or Seagal, is he really a tough guy? Is Van Damme really, are they legitimate? How do you know how tough these guys are? And undoubtedly Mel Gibson, you cannot question that. Forget about the police videotape about how angry and single-minded this man is. There's something special about him on screen. He walks down the street. He's got that tough guy crazy walk. If you saw him coming your way, you would move. He just has crazy eyes. He's walking down the street. He is the type of guy who would steal money from somebody panhandling. He's the type of guy who would steal someone's wallet and go on a spending spree. He's got this quality that you don't know what he's capable of, but you know it's not good. He is giving off this vibe, get the fuck out of my way. And he is very, very much a badass, and he is perfect for this role.
He also plays off pain the way few actors do. I think one of the reasons we love Bruce Willis and like the Die Hard movies, right, is that he's not invincible. He does experience pain. When he gets glass in his feet, he reacts to it. Most of the time, we get movies like Con Air or Face Off, and I'm not complaining about those movies, but those characters aren't as relatable because they never acknowledge how much it hurts to jump off of a building or survive an explosion or get shot or get beat up. Or in the case of Face Off, take a speedboat 60 miles per hour into a concrete barrier and get flipped out of it onto a beach, right? Porter in this movie, and Mel Gibson just in general, right? You see it in Lethal Weapon too. He gets hit by a car. He carries that limp throughout the movie, right? There's a perfect shot where he's sitting on his ass. He looks like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, right? Middle of the street. That squad car pulls up behind him, and he's just got his head kind of slumped over. He's got blood coming out of his head. And it's just like a, yeah, fuck me kind of moment. And that is so Mel Gibson.
Yeah, he takes a fucking beating in all his films. And there's early on when he's like taking a shower, right? And he's got his hands up. I'm like, is that in his contract? Because there's so many things that happen in all of his films. We get the ass shot. I think it was Tequila Sunrise where he's in the shower. We get that here. He's tortured in almost every film. Here you get the ball pin hammer to the toe. I know that was part of his plan at the end. We're going to get to it. But no one could take a ball pin just squishing your big toe and the next toe and not blacking out. That's not human. Could you take that?
No.
No. And I wouldn't make that part of my plan. I would make a plan where I get to keep my toes.
I had the first night of jiu-jitsu comp training for this upcoming tournament last night. And today I woke up and I almost gave up on life. I just laid in bed staring at the ceiling. I said, yes. I don't want to do today anymore.
No. Or people doing like foot stomps or leg kicks.
Yeah.
Or shin. Oh, that's all you do is take the hammer out. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll tell you the address where he is. It's okay. Nobody would have suspected he was lying. They still would have thrown him in the trunk, whatever. But watching this now as we're getting older, I realize how I don't feel my age. I'm 51 now, right? I think inside my head, I'm still probably 30. Even when you look in the mirror, can't tell how old I am. I still feel young. What hits you and what hits me is watching like movies and seeing actors today, actors who were young. Matthew Broderick. I'm like, holy shit, Matthew Broderick now is like an old man. And then I'm like, oh God, now I'm an old man. And watching this, it's 24 years ago. That's 1999. They filmed in 98. It's roughly 2000. I'm thinking in my head, technology is the same. We had computers. We had some internet. But here, Mel, he gets the wallet and he slaps me in the face with my age. He goes on the shopping spree. He goes into the store. He's going to buy new suits. And all of a sudden, the guy pulls out that credit card, like the swiper thing. Did you ever see one of those, Gene?
Oh, yeah. I used to work at Steinmart. I was in customer service. We had to use those.
And I'm like, this has to be maybe some like homage or some part of the film noir. There's no way they were using this in 99, but they were. They used this shit up until like 2020, roughly, I can see, when they finally stopped doing it for, stores that didn't have connection to the internet. Or how easy must it have been to be a criminal, Gene? They're not verifying cards. You could get just an ID of a guy in the street who looks like you. Why wasn't everybody a criminal? You could just get a credit card, run around, charge up everything. It would probably take them 4 days to catch you.
Fucking credit card. You take like a paper check. Just look, it's my signature. It's good. It's like money.
Yeah, you could take a model like Pan Am airplane, and you could soak the tail and just make fake checks. It's fucking ridiculous. It was easy to go on a fucking crime spree like that. And this film, from the opening credits, from the initial montage where we're introduced to Porter, it is funny. It's enjoyable. And I could not get over the fact I felt like I was watching Mel Gibson playing Grand Theft Auto. This is the way. I never was a big gamer, but I used to like Vice City. He is doing everything that I enjoyed doing in the game. And you walk around the streets, you bump into people who start shit with you. Then you either shoot them, you steal their wallet, you then take their money, or you take the money of a homeless or somebody has a bicycle. You go to the store, you buy some new gear, some clothes, you level up, you buy some suits, you get some cash. Then you go out, you buy some jewelry or some watches, you fence it so you can level up even more. And when he gets into that fucking bar and he's going to get some information and he runs into that snooty guy, he's like, Michael, I'm looking for a call girl. And he's like, usually these matters are handled more discreetly. And he just slams the fucking door down on his hand. I could watch this total degenerate all day and envision myself playing Grand Theft Auto.
That whole sequence is just so clever. Because a lesser movie, he's got some friend who's like a hacker or something who like hacks a bank account and gets him some money, or like makes him a fake ID and then he has to go through some acting to get that money. No, it's so clever. Just look for a dude on the street that looks like you. Take his wallet. get some respectable clothes, you withdraw the money from the bank, you buy the watches, like you said, you get yourself a steak. Like it all makes perfect sense, and it's so simple and so straightforward. But Big D, you said you're not much of a gamer. When is the last time you played like a looter shooter game?
Oh, it's been a while.
Dude.
Are the new ones good?
They're so good. Like they have gotten into your brain, right? Like it's like hits of fucking drugs, man. They're so addictive, and it's just this ease of accomplishment. And that's the crazy part is like a guy like you, a guy like me, right? You work your ass off at your job with your family, like, you know, doing the podcast. There's no like, bing, you leveled up. Bing, you leveled up. You got a new gun. You got some new armor, right? You didn't discover something in a trunk behind an alley somewhere. And it's like it's this immediate gratification and frequent gratification, and they've got like the sounds and the visuals all, you know, laid out, but the main part is you could sit on your ass but you feel like you're accomplishing something. It is, for a person like me, it is dangerously addictive.
See, but I'm afraid that like the newer games, like I played some Red Dead with Roger, or there's that one where there's like some, I don't know, it was like a military thing in New York City.
Division 2.
Division 2, right?
Yeah.
It's too much. It's like the new NCAA game, the 2025, where you can start out as like a high school kid who's getting recruited.
Yeah.
And you have to actively do drills. I think that might be a little bit too much for me.
The Division 2, I think it was released in like 2019. It's still exceptionally good as a looter shooter, but you know, there's new ones coming out every day, Big D, and you just gotta find the one that's right for you. Don't turn into the King Bee and do Fallout 76, where we were on the phone. So the King Bee got shot at this week while he was in his vehicle. Bullet passed through the vehicle, went out the windshield, was within inches of him. We're talking, he's telling me the whole story. I said, yeah, okay, well, you know, I'm glad you're okay. I got to go to bed. And he says, yeah, I got to go do my dailies. I said, you're what? He has to go do his daily tasks on Fallout 76.
Wow.
When it's a job, that's a little different, because he used to also do like, you know, Red Dead in the middle of the day. I think Roger with the Division 2 was having problems with his ex-girlfriend. Yeah. His girlfriend at the time, right? Because he would be supposed to be working and she would leave the house and he would just get on Division all day.
It was Christmas Day. I remember sitting at Roger's, like one of his relatives' house, and he was for hours driving around with his horse and collecting snake pelts, like snake skins. I was like, Roger, go do a mission. He's like, no, yeah. I need the snake skin so I could sell them, and then I got to go trade up for like some leather. And I'm like, dude, go shoot something instead. He's got this whole like little economy in town where he's selling and trading goods. I'm like, that's not too exciting. That's my regular day.
But I mean, think about it in the sense that I'm going to train now for like 6 weeks to go do a competition in late September.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to lose, and no one's going to know. I've got no sense of accomplishment. I got nothing to show for it. You play a video game, you're getting that reinforcement all day. And I think, you know, we talk about the big ways that having a family or being married is good for you. I think that's one of the ways we don't talk about is that Sarah keeps me honest. If I sat here and played a video game all day, I'd be in big, big trouble.
And that, I think, is how maybe augmented reality can improve our lives, Gene. Imagine if you had glasses, right? And you were in class and the computer saw that you were more skilled and it went, beep, 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 beep. You've leveled up, Gene. You can now, you know, adequately do a rear naked choke. You feel like you accomplished something.
No, instead I'll work for like a year and then I'll get a stripe of athletic tape on my belt.
And Sarah telling you suck.
She does. Did I tell you about the guy at the Lufthansa lounge in the Detroit airport? He had VR glasses on and was playing a game while his wife was just trying desperately to get his attention, sitting next to him with nothing to do. She's like stroking his arm. She tried putting her head in his lap, and he's just in his fucking game, man. It was wild. Well, Porter confronts Lynn, who has become addicted to heroin. He tries to confiscate her drugs, but she finds some in a secondary stash. Porter awakens and finds her dead from an overdose the next morning. Believing that Val was funding her habit, Porter interrogates Lynn's drug connection, who points him to Val's middleman, Stegman. Porter finds Stegman in the company of corrupt police detectives Hicks and Leary, and Val learns from Stegman that Porter is alive. Enlisting the help of Rosie, Porter ambushes Val during a session with Pearl, a triad-connected dominatrix, and demands his money.
So in Jeremiah's letter, he mentioned how a young teenage boy seeing Lucy Liu had excited him and frightened him all at the same time.
A 10-year-old.
Well, it's that point in your life where you're starting to grow hair in special parts of your body and have weird feelings. I was very much the same. I was older, obviously, when this movie came out, but it got me thinking now as an adult. I've never experienced any bondage or submissive role play, but Lucy Liu and Pearl, she's got me thinking. I would not go for the full version that she does. I would want something safer. You know, I would try something that didn't involve stomping on my balls or handcuff like brass knuckles to the face. I could go for like a PG level of this, some dom submissive. I think it would be kind of interesting. Have you ever tried any of this?
No.
What?
I just love it. I just love that sometimes we'll be doing this podcast and we're so used to doing it. And you'll just say something like stomping on my balls. And I realize like that's our world. That's what we discuss on this podcast. I am surprisingly vanilla when it comes to intimacy. I don't like being slapped around. I don't like slapping people around. I don't like being choked. I don't want to choke anybody. I think my kink is stress-free situations. That's when I'm most turned on, right? Like you go on vacation and you can't do anything around the house and you don't have to worry about work and you don't have to worry about other people. And you're just like, oh my gosh, my brain is totally clear. And then I get real horny.
I see. Again, you know, that's stress-free. Maybe being like held up and tied up.
No, that's stressful.
Ooh, I don't know. You can't do anything, so you just got to be there.
You've never been tied up?
No. And I told you, I got into that little cock ring fetish. So I think it's a gateway into leather, like choking. And I don't know. Anybody out there, please, if you're into any submissive or dom play that's PG safe, let me know. Let me know if there's a gateway into it or how do you broach that question. I don't know if Vanessa would be up to beat the shit out of me, but the idea of it is at least interesting.
You'd be surprised.
I think I would.
Well, while we're talking about escorts, I fully comprehend that in this movie, we've got several of them. And Rosie, who is the main one, she kind of emerges as Porter's love interest. She looks like an actual high-end escort. Like if you're going around Vegas and you get those little business cards, like this is what those ladies look like. But the actress who plays her, Maria Bello, although perfect casting, I was so distracted by her necklines. And those are like the horizontal ones that go like from side to side in your neck. And it's super dumb. I'm not picking on her, okay? Because Mel Gibson, like you said, Big D, he looks good. He's a bit wrinkly. He's a decade older than she is. I'm not saying she's too old or gross for him or anything like that. I'm not even picking on her looks. They're just so pronounced that it made me wonder, like, have I just not noticed other people's necks? Like, do other people have the same thing? So I started to look around. I checked Sarah. I checked myself. Nobody else has this going on. And I'm like, is this a genetic condition? Like, you don't have that. I don't have that.
No, it's because neither one of us are like 2% body fat. I think she's super, super skinny. So there's no fat underneath the skin. And her neck, the lines at first, when you said her lines, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? I thought you meant like the jawline.
No.
That it was defined. So secondly, I have to talk about the difference in the versions. The theatrical version, they used this dark blue filter on every shot. It is dark. How the fuck you even saw any lines, let alone neck? There's scenes I couldn't see anything was going on. Whereas the director's cut, it is brightened, it is more vibrant, you can see it. Then I noticed, those are the lines Gene's talking about. It reminded me of like a brachiosaurus.
Yeah.
It's because I feel her neck is long. If you look at her proportionally from, let's say, the base of the jaw to the top of maybe like the rib cage or collarbone, it's longer. So I think the skin had those little rings on her, you know, just because she's so skinny. That's why you don't see it normally. No one's going to have it except for a Hollywood actress. And
just to preempt any email or voicemail we might get about like picking on people's looks, I've been thinking about this a lot because we tend to bring these things up during podcasts. This movie's been covered to death. Okay, this movie came out in 1999. I don't think anyone's talked about this. And what I'm trying to do is tread some new ground here, and it was just a thing that jumped out at me. Again, not saying this is an unattractive woman, just saying that's interesting.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Once you said it, and I noticed it, I could not unsee it.
Exactly. It's just there.
So now I'm going to fucking look for this in every movie. Just like I look for butterfly knives. When that came out, I'm like, Gene, we got a butterfly knife. We haven't seen that in a while. Now I'm going to see necklines.
Well, Carter, a higher up with the outfit, instructs Val to eliminate Porter on his own, but directs one of his men to take care of Porter himself. Pearl tells the triads that Porter was responsible for the $130,000 heist, but before they can kill Porter, Hicks and Leary arrive and extort Porter for a cut of his money. Following Porter to Rosie's apartment, Val shoots her dog and threatens to rape her, but Porter shoots and kills him. Taking Rosie to his secret apartment, Porter finds a bomb rigged to his telephone by Carter's men, who call from a car outside. Cutting their fuel line, Porter incinerates them with a lit cigarette.
So this is where our films start to diverge greatly, but I'm going to stick to the plot here and what's important in both films. This felt like a PSA to me. It was a lesson I learned probably in my early 20s, is that you don't know who you're dealing with as you're walking around in life. This is a lesson. No matter how tough you think you are, no matter how many fights you've won, no matter how much training you've done or how many skills you have, or you were in the military or you were this, it doesn't matter. There is always someone who's more desperate, who's crazier, tougher, or has taken more classes and is more skilled walking around. And you never know whose path you're going to cross and what they're capable of. I've talked about ad nauseum. The guy I served with in the Army who turned around and shot up a bunch of our guys in Iraq. He fragged the tent. This was a dude I lived with. He was at that edge, and I never knew it. I lived with the guy, walked around with the guy. And multiple characters in this film learn this lesson the hard way. You get the guy who's Segman's bodyguard, the big guy at the entrance. His name's Radio Man. He thinks he's a tough guy. He stands up. I'm going to fuck this guy up. I'm going to show him how big I am. He just leads him into the room, bloody ear. He's gotten him. He's taught him a lesson. Or when you get Porter's going to go into the outfit and there's the guard at the entrance, the two best guys inside. These guys learn the lesson. Be careful. If I see dudes out in the street who are either business casual, they could look homeless, they could be the most dangerous person. You've seen that video where it's some guy in like a supermarket and somebody's harassing him with a camera. And he just looks at the camera and says, "Trust me, you're not that guy."
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, okay, time out. I'm leaving that guy alone because he seemed confident in saying that. I would say, have a nice day. Be nice to everyone, people. Don't get yourself killed.
But the movie did leave me wondering what exactly Porter did in the Marine Corps. He's got the USMC tattoo. We know he's a badass. And this takes me back to my Army Man theory from Con Air, right? Like in the 90s, they could just say the dude was a Marine. And that gives him license to be a complete badass. And I thought that was the case when I was a kid. I sadly learned later in life that military, it's a really big place. And most people aren't special forces. So I started thinking, like, is Porter, you think he was Raider Regiment, or is he just a really good crook? Like, he's just a natural?
I don't know. He had a tattoo.
Yeah, but it just said USMC. So what?
Right. But generally, like, the baddest guys I've ever known aren't the ones with tattoos. They're not the ones who walk around with the hats and the shirts and the bumper stickers. The guys who are really dangerous, the ones who will just say, yeah, I served. If somebody's made it their identity, they're generally not the ones to be afraid of. So I don't know what to think of him. He doesn't brag about it. No one brings it up. He's got the tattoo, but I mean, maybe that's where he learned to just not give a fuck and not plan, because the Marines are just known. They're tough and just run straight into the meat grinder. So maybe he's made that his mantra for life as a criminal.
So every great action movie has a great villain. And in this movie, we got two major villains. You had Val, who was pretty fun at first. I thought he was going to be the big bad in the movie. He's sadistic. He's idiosyncratic. He's corrupt, very flashy. And he seems to be a counterpart to Porter, right? He's like Porter if Porter were more of a loose cannon, more slimy. But after a while, the act kind of got old for me. I don't know how you felt about it. But like Gregg Henry, the actor who plays Val, it felt like he was just trying to be Dennis Hopper, the way that Christian Slater is trying to be Jack Nicholson, right? And once I started thinking about that, the whole performance just felt forced. Like if I were in the outfit, I would just be annoyed. I don't know why they gave him a chance. But
I think they are. If you just watch the way the other outfit bodyguards treat him, they know he thinks he's this big shit. And he's, when they make him move out of his apartment, they're all kind of laughing. He's a joke. And I like the way that the outfit treats him. He's like an intern.
Yeah.
So there's some slight difference in the way this scene goes down. But basically, the outfit, I think it's great. It's smart to say we could save you, but it doesn't let us see what you're made of. Let's be self-reliant. Let's see how you handle it. And it's good to see him out there and have to deal with it on his own. And nobody likes him. They're joking about maybe he knocks him off, maybe he gets killed. Even when he gets killed, they're like, "Thank you." Nobody cares about this guy. I think this was more like a trial run.
Well, outside Carter's office, Porter is waylaid by Hicks, Leary, and Stegman. He gives them his revolver to hold while he's inside, securing Leary's fingerprints on the gun that killed Val. Meeting with Carter, Porter disarms his guards and threatens to kill him. Carter calls Bronson, the head of the outfit, who refuses to pay, so Porter kills Carter. Framing Hicks and Leary for Val's death, Porter leaves Hicks's badge and the gun with Leary's fingerprints by the body. So for a while, these cops and Stegman, they're leaning on Porter. He decides, if I'm going to pull this thing off, I got to get rid of some baggage. I got to shake these cops off my back. And so what he does is he gets the gun, he gets the prints on it, he leaves it with Val's body, and this triggers an internal affairs investigation, right? Tying Hicks and Leary to Val's murder. Doesn't mean they're going to get a conviction, but they're certainly not going to be on his ass if they're being watched or if they're being interrogated. And that's smart. But what wasn't smart is everything else he did before this. They are leaving evidence all over the place throughout the movie. He finds a syringe in his dead wife's hand. He picks it up barehanded, jams it into the wall, and leaves it there, right? When they finish robbing the triad by smashing their car into their car, Val takes off his jumpsuit and just throws it in the alley next to the car. The triad, they might not call the police, but someone's bound to report a horrific car accident in the alleyway, and that vehicle has probably got DNA all over it.
Could be maybe Chicago. We've seen the Chicago police aren't great they couldn't even find Kevin McAllister. Mom called, he's in the house, go to the house and find him. The police couldn't even find him there. So maybe they just weren't capable of it. The police don't seem to be doing their job. Nobody seems to care. It's a city run amok. So whatever, you jab the needle into the wall, you leave your DNA everywhere. I'm surprised he didn't have sex with her or, just he's laying in bed with her, Gene. He's laying in bed next to the body, shedding hair everywhere. And you have to think that the whole fingerprints on the gun, that was just a chance opportunity. He didn't know they were going to be there. He just stole the badge and said, maybe I'll use this one day. Then he was going to put the gun into the newspaper box. They were there and he thought, okay, perfect opportunity. So he's smart and he's a simple character. We don't need a whole backstory, Gene. We don't need to see him like Con Air in the military, like doing his training. And what did he do? He was in PSYOPs or he was doing some kind of hand-to-hand or some operation in the jungles of Cambodia. We don't need any of that. We just know it's very simple. He is a dark guy. He is going to be a dark anti-hero. We're going to root for him. This isn't going to be a story of redemption. Porter's not going to learn anything. And the endings are very different. So a lot of my feelings here are based on a non-happy ending. We get a little happier ending with the theatrical, but Porter's not going to change. He's not going to learn the errors of his way and become a law-abiding citizen, marry Rosie and have kids. No. Even at the end, he jokes that we'd stop hooking and stop killing. We don't know we're going to be able to do that. There's no hero's journey. And I like it. He's a guy out. He's going to try to get revenge. The scene where he punches Rosie in the face, she smacks him with the kettle and he's stealing the cigarettes from the waitress. He's a bad guy. It's great. And I like his humor. I think he's funny. He talks shit. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's just in it for the 70 grand. He corrects everybody. Give me the 70 grand. I don't want the 130. It's so great. He's a simple character. You can root for him. He's a bad guy. It's early Walter White. We can pull for the bad guy. We don't need him to do the right thing or even be someone we'd want to be around.
What makes the 70 grand even more interesting is it's not like it was his 70 grand, right? It's 70 grand that he stole, but he still feels that is the 70 grand that they owe him. And I felt really stupid when Porter revealed that he had a relationship with Rosie, because I'm so conditioned to the good guy being the good guy, right? That I'm like, Val convinced Lynn that he cheated by showing her that photo and making up a story. No, he did cheat on his wife. Like that's real. He's not a great dude.
No, he's not a great dude. And then the director's cut made him a little funnier. He's got more one-liners that I think you would have enjoyed. When he gets into the outfit office and he's having that interaction with Carter and the roll of pennies, he's got a line like, he takes it out, throws it on the desk. He says, "I'm saving every penny. Every little bit helps." And it's the penny that he stole from the waitress in the beginning. He's been collecting pennies throughout the movie to make this thing to eventually punch somebody. It's a funny movie. And it's great to see heroes who don't give a fuck.
Porter kidnaps Bronson's son, Johnny. Hicks and Leary are arrested by Eternal Affairs, and Stegman captures Porter, but a shootout ensues with Pearl and the Triads, leaving Stegman, his driver, and the Triads dead. Badly beaten, Porter meets face-to-face with Bronson, who has brought a $130,000 ransom, but swears Porter will never touch it. Bronson orders his men to hammer Porter's toes until he reveals Johnny's location, then drives to Porter's apartment with Porter locked in the trunk. As they go inside, Porter breaks free and uses a car phone to dial his apartment phone, triggering the bomb left by Carter's men. The explosion kills Bronson, Fairfax, and their men. Leaving Johnny cuffed to a radiator, Rosie joins Porter in starting a new life together, beginning by going for breakfast in Canada. So, Big D, you mentioned some of the comedy in this film, and it is really underappreciated. This is a very funny movie. I could predict most of the scenes in Payback, which largely consisted of a formula, right? Mel Gibson, he takes some people by surprise, they underestimate him, he pulls a fast one, or he gets his ass handed to him. However, I did not see the Triad shooting scene coming, and it was glorious. So if you can imagine Porter, he calls the cab, door opens up, Stegman's in the back, he's got the gun pulled on Porter. Porter turns the tables on him, grabs the gun out of his hand, only to be then held at gunpoint by Stegman's driver, who pulls out a shotgun. Okay, we got a standoff here. Then out of nowhere, like that race scene in Better Off Dead, Pearl and the Triad roll up, submachine guns. They start firing, and there's human shields. They're shooting through the floorboards and into people's crotches, and an adorable Lucy Liu getting off on the whole thing. It's comedy gold.
It's like nonstop encounter after encounter after bad guy after bad guy. It was like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. You think you're out of it, and it just fucking goes to the next level. He gets in the cab, and Stegman's got the gun on him, and he's, I'm going to take you to the operation. And then he just disarms him easily. You get the shooting. It just doesn't stop. Once it gets going, it is action, 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 and it's fun. I mean, a lot of it, it's not original. You're not breaking ground, but it's done in a competent and fun way where Mel gets to show his badass nature and blow shit up.
I started noticing with all these explosions, though, that Payback has a pretty small cast. There aren't a lot of people in this movie, which is consistent with the neo-noir film. Like, if you look at noir films from the past, generally small casts, lots of, like, tiny interactions, right? And I found myself wondering, like, where the fuck is the rest of Chicago? Nobody seems to react to events in these high-rise buildings. Porter's entire apartment, it goes up in flames. There's an explosion. The building's on fire. There's no people running out of the building. There's nobody on the block, like sticking their head out their window to see what happened. Shooting at Rose's apartment, nobody cares. The world just felt really empty and thin, and I wonder why they went at it from this angle.
I don't know. I mean, I noticed it as well. I just assumed that the apartment, because I was like, all right, we've had a large caliber handgun discharged 3 times. We've got a dog. We've got a woman screaming for help. We've got a door kicked in. I was assuming this was just an outfit apartment and everybody in there. Or it could have been just like, good concrete building, a construction in Chicago. But yeah, it did feel a bit empty for a big city. But again, it didn't distract from the overall plot. That didn't mean anything. It was Porter getting his $70,000 and the bad guys.
I could have done with like 2 or 3 dudes on the street being like, holy shit. Yeah.
Maybe.
Give me some atmosphere.
Yeah, I would do that. But the plan's all fucking stupid. It's how Porter, again, he's not thinking. Your plan is to get your toes smashed, to then hope maybe they throw you in the back of a trunk, to then take you to a building and trick them with a bomb that they set up. You don't think the henchman told them, hey, we're going to put it in that building we got over there. It's gonna go off when we call the phone.
Well, no, they told Carter that, and Carter's dead. I don't think Carter relayed that to Bronson, because remember he said he wasn't getting in touch with them. So
there's a chance. I'm not going to hedge like my life on this plan.
No, he's winging it.
No, and what happens if he can't get out of the handcuffs, or they knock him out, or he can't get? Maybe there's not a phone in that car.
I was really surprised that they're like, oh, we're taking you with us because we don't trust you, but then we're going to leave you in the car. Why did they take him up there with him?
No, what you should have had was you should have had Rosie and the son in a building across the way who could see them go in, and she could call, because this could have unraveled really quickly. Either they say, hey, that's the building where we planted the bomb. Don't go in there. Or, hey, let's kill Porter. Or, hey, anything could happen. And then Rosie and the son come out. This ending is a big fucking mess. And the theatrical version is one of the issues that I have a problem with it, and I didn't like it. So I'm going to talk to you here about the different versions. So you mentioned early on in the podcast that there were some complications with this film. And mostly when we get a director's cut or a ultimate director's cut or the super director final cut, like Blade Runner, there's minimal differences. This movie is drastically different. There is very little between the two in tone or content or outcome or how the characters act. So I'll just give a quick overview of it. So you mentioned the director, who's Brian Helgeland, who won an Oscar for LA Confidential. So he does noir very well. He wrote this screenplay based on the novel you mentioned, The Hunter. So Gibson goes to Paramount and Warner Brothers. He sells this as a mainstream, like friendly, like Lethal Weapon type film. Helgeland doesn't agree. He leaves the project. So they go back and rewrite the entire third act, Gene. The entire end of this movie is different. They had to delay shooting because Gibson was doing Lethal Weapon 4. They did reshoots for $30 or $40 million that added to the budget. So in the theatrical version, the difference is it's supposed to be a more light tone, family-friendly film where Porter is likable. There's a happy ending. The dog survives. There's more action scenes. There's more explosions. But there is that god-awful blue dark tint. It looks ugly. It looks muddy. It wasn't a good film to watch. The director's cut, on the other hand, which came out in 2006, it's closer to that dark tone, the film noir, where Porter is relentless. He is, in the beginning, we don't get the doctor scene at all. We don't get any of Porter's narration. We don't get him talking about the gunshot wound. All we get is him walking into the bridge. He's broken. We know something's happening. He's hearing in his head Val talk about the double cross. So we get to learn about him by what we see he's doing. He gets the money from the homeless guy. He then talks about the $70,000. But there's a lot of hand-holding in this that isn't in the director's cut. Like when he kicks in the door, when it's his wife, and he says, ain't marriage grand? We would have figured out, like in the director's cut, hey, that's his wife. But here they got to tell everybody. The dog dies in the director's cut, which is more realistic. That's what have happened. But when he goes into the outfit, right, he goes in and they get Brunson on the phone. But Brunson is not Chris Christopherson. It's a female. It's Miss Brunson. And over the phone, she's telling him, hey, you punk, you got the right ball to brains ratio. You might be the one I want to bring in. We never see her. She's talking with him. They don't come to an agreement. He again kills Carter. And that leads into the whole he's behind us and the cigarette slow motion gasoline, that car explosion. The director's cut doesn't have that. It doesn't have the convenient phone conversation with, hey, son, it's your birthday. Oh, here's your car. Dad, I'm going to the boxing match today at the arena. Oh, let's go there and look. There he is. There's a Happy Johnny sign on the scoreboard, and there is Johnny standing up with his friends. None of that shit. We don't get the fucking voiceover hand-holding. None of that. We don't get the torture scene. We don't get the final, like, laughing. What happened? Oh, I got hammered. Let's go to Canada and have breakfast. That shit doesn't end like that. In the end of this film, the director's cut, stays on the $70,000. There is no ransom. There's no kidnapping. He just keeps going to the outfit. I want my fucking $70,000. I want my $70,000. They're going to do a drop off. He ends up killing half of the outfit. He gets shot as a result. He stumbles down the stairs, gets into the car with Rosie. He says, drive, baby. I know a guy. And I think he dies in the passenger seat. And she's got the money, and they just drive off. He says, just drive. And they hit the open road. You don't know he survives. You don't know what happens. It's not a feel-good movie. There was no convenient ransom and bullshit son and the fucking explosions. I thought it dumbed down the movie. We got a less badass, less nuanced Porter. It was so sanitized for a summer blockbuster. I really think you would like it. If you go back and watch, even though Jeremiah doesn't, give it a chance. It's a fucking pretty good version of this film.
I mean, other than the dog dying, I think that sounds great.
I got hammered. His toes are fucking mush on the floor. He's barefoot. Stupid.
Well, now's the time of the podcast where we give our Shat score for Payback. Shat scores are our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get out of respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's when she stops hooking and you stop shooting people. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster movie. It's when you get your money but don't live long enough to enjoy it. Big D, we'll start with you. What is your Shat score for Payback?
So I'm going to give 2 different scores for this because it's Jeremiah's commission for the theatrical version. I think it's 2.25 wipes. It is right up there with some of his other films, like, I don't know, Ransom or Bird on a Wire. I don't know. I don't think there's anything special about it. It's not exceptional. You took the work and based on the book, The Hunter, which is a story of revenge, and you turned it into a comic book, traditional Hollywood explosion, summer extravaganza. It was nothing special, really. As the director's cut, I think it's a 1 wipe. It's enjoyable. It's nuanced. A lot of the character backstory and what's happening and how characters are motivated and how they interact, you have to figure it out yourself. The ending is left open. It's not a feel-good story. It stays true to its dark noir core to the end. I think it's a 1 wipe for director's cut, but for Jeremiah, it's a 2.25.
I think my score has a lot to do with when we watched this film, because we watched it after Con Air. We watched it after Face Off. And honestly, I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but also I was really rooting for this guy, Porter. Like, I really just liked Porter. I like Mel Gibson. And it felt like the right movie at the right time. And oddly enough, this is going to sound so stupid, but almost grounded. Like, it's very far-fetched, don't get me wrong, but after the last 2 movies, this feels relatively grounded and relatively thoughtful. It's not John Woo. It's not Simon West. And I like that.
You're right. He's not a superhero. He survives on luck, grit, and ignorance. He doesn't have a master plan. There's no great, like, last minute, dun, 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 and he's hanging on a fire truck and an explosion. He could have died at any moment. And he probably would have been fine with it. It's nice. It's cleaned my palate from the recent Michael Bay explosion fest we've been doing.
So I think I'll go 1.25 wipes on this. You've got 2.25 wipes for this. That gives us an average wipe score of 1.75 wipes for Payback.
So, Gene, with a score of 1.75 wipes, that now ties this in the 138 spot with Friday, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Halloween 4, and Temple of Doom. Slightly worse than Crush Groove, Ninja Scrolls, and slightly better than I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Crush
Groove, man, really punching above its weight.
Well, that was an unexpected gem. It was a time capsule.
Really was. That's right.
It was a time capsule. Young Rick Rubin was classic.
Well, thanks, Jeremiah, for yet another fantastic commission. We have one email this week, and it comes from Eric. It says, "Hey, Shat Crew. I love the review of my commission for Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's funny how things work out. Your review came out the week of Father's Day, the week I took my board exams, and the week after I graduated. It was a respectable score, and I'm glad that you all seem to enjoy it. Made a great 2 weeks even better. For the life of me, I cannot get the damn Discord link to work, and I cannot find you on there. Makes me feel my old age trying to make these confounded new contraptions work. Someone else named Eric C. has been writing in. That could be confusing. I was like, wait, that wasn't me, was it? Since Ninja Scroll was my favorite of the 3 commissions, maybe call me Ninja Scroll Eric? Sounds better than Triple Lindy Eric or Holy Hand Grenade Eric. Now that I think of it, Brave Sir Eric has a nice ring to it. Let me know what you think. And 3, for my next commission, I am thinking of the 1991 film Toy Soldiers. I didn't see it on the upcoming calendar. It will be a little while until I can commission it with me starting to work again after 4 years and needing an income to catch up on expenses. Not to mention the student loans looming. Keep up the great work. Undetermined, clever moniker, Eric."
So I called him, Brave Sir Eric. I just went with that when I emailed him. I said, I hope you're braver than Sir Robin. But yeah, he was great. And congratulations. He graduated, Gene. So there's a reason to celebrate. And I believe he's going to commission Toy Soldiers. I've interacted recently. There's a bunch of new commissions coming in, some great movies. So please keep them coming. We're going to add them to the schedule. But if you can come up with some link, Gene, because there is some problems that people have been having with Discords. I went in and copied the share link, sent them to him, but I don't know yet if Brave Sir Eric has been able to enter the realm of the Shat Discord server.
Yeah, I've seen a few people having difficulty getting in there. I think Eric did get in, but I'll take another look at our a link because it was working just fine, but we've had a rash of these alerts. So something certainly funky with our Discord. And man, are you missing out on some amazing content in there. It's mainly pet photos, a lot of talking about our weight loss journeys, and me complaining about fantasy baseball. So if any of that sounds good to you, you should join our Discord. It's a good time. But no, seriously, you guys should join. It's fun.
And Gene, I'll just give you a little teaser of some of the films that are recently going to be added. We have Little Monsters. We have High Spirits and Crybaby, Toy Soldiers, The Deer Hunter, Jeepers Creepers, and or maybe our latest film, How to Train Your Dragon. There's going to be some good films, Gene.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Brave Sir Eric, for your commissions, and congratulations on all that you accomplished in the last few weeks.
Well, it was longer than the last 2 weeks.
Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week, a young woman whose passionate affair with a handsome and would-be writer inexplicably drifts towards tragedy as she becomes increasingly unbalanced. Came out in 1986. And this is one of those, Gene, that I don't want to poison the well. But when this came down like a year ago, I was like, okay, maybe smaller artsy film. This would be good for us. It's been nice in the past that we've done them. So I don't want to poison it before I get to it. But this is going to be very different. Not a big budget, not a big known film. I can sense the hate that's going to come, but it's a change we need.
Simon, I'm really excited to do this one because I'll be watching it on a flight for my anniversary trip to Europe. And I can't think of better timing for such a romantic film.
Is it romantic?
Sort of. It's very French. It's very French.
Oh.
All right. Well, thank you, Simon, for your upcoming commission. Thank you to Jeremiah for your many commissions. Thank you to all the commissions to make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. Email us, host@shatpod.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or by commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV. Review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all information on our website, shatpod.com/TV, wherever fine podcasts be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, and if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. That helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next time for the following movie.
Ça faisait une semaine que j'avais rencontré Betty. On baisait toutes les nuits. Ils avaient annoncé des orages pour le soir.
Je t'aime!
Tout ça, c'est pour toi.